Welcome to Hadoken Debt Podcast, episode number 95. If you need to save some money on some razors, then check out Harry's. I've been trying their trial out, and it's really good. I like their shaving cream, and their aftershave is pretty good. It smells all nice. So I was trying Dollar Shave Club, but I might go back. I don't know. I'm just trying. There's so many options out there. I don't know what to do. I'm paralyzed. So many good options and choices out there. Anyway, check them out. Harrys.com. Really good razors. In today's episode, me and Barrett, we're going to talk about growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So just kind of getting into the habit of not feeling like we're stuck in what we do, and it could be anything: work, sports, hobbies, just feeling like we're just stuck and we're never going to get better at anything or nothing's going to change. That's the fixed mindset. And then the growth mindset is the opposite of that, and just learning to fail too. So very good discussion. And then in our nerd talk, we're going to talk about mobile gaming and how that has changed the world. Changed the world, man. It's so big. Okay, or just changed our society. I don't know. Although when I went to Korea, it's funny because it was all the same. Like, everybody was on their phones looking down, crossing the street with their headphones, just looking down, not even looking at cars. It's all the same. Anyway, here we go. Episode number 95. Gonna talk about the growth mindset and mobile gaming. Start the music, please.
About me buying a GoPro on this podcast yet? I think I
might have been,
but I hadn't actually used it yet. So
yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I've been liking that. Been using it to record at least one lift a day in the gym. I record a lot more than I broadcast onto Instagram because I want to see how my technique works and stuff like that, and make changes. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Awesome. So it was like $400 for the Hero 4 Silver. Came with a bunch of stuff. Got an expanded set with it, so it came with 2 spare batteries, which is good because it drains batteries so fast. So I think it's actually the Wi-Fi part of it that drains the batteries so quick. Well, because I can control it from my phone through Wi-Fi and use my phone as a remote to start recording and stuff like that. But just broadcasting that signal, it just seems like a battery doesn't last longer than an hour that way. Whereas if I just leave it in standby mode and I'm not recording, that's an hour not recording. That's just an hour of sitting on that it drains it that quickly. But if I leave it in standby mode, or I leave it on but without the Wi-Fi part, it seems to last longer. Okay. So,
did you get it off Amazon or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, got it off Amazon. It automatically bundled it with these other 3 things you might be interested in. Yeah, so
gets me every time.
Yeah, it worked. It's like,
I don't have to research. I know that these three things go together.
It bundled it with a battery pack, 2 extra batteries and a charger, and a 32 gig SD card. And I'm like, sure, can't have enough of those.
Yeah. So, and a tripod? Or?
No, one of those head lamp things was in the package. So, like, I don't think I'll ever use that, but it came with the charger and the SD card, so.
You going spelunking?
Might as well. So I was joking with Brian about that, like, do alternate perspective gym routines. Yeah. Where I'm wearing the headband and everything like that. They can't actually see me squat, but they see the wall as I go up and down. When I'm spotting my friend, they see me standing behind him and squatting down with him while he's squatting. So
awesome.
Yep. But having fun with that. I'm out to grow my Instagram followers, so I'm at about 250 right now. and just some of the more popular guys that I've seen follow, people who have like 10,000 followers and
That's
stuff
awesome.
like that seem to post video on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
along with all my food posts,
Yeah,
I'm
and-
posting more of my lifts.
And still trying to get sponsored by Jerry's.
Still trying to do
Subs.
that. So, yep. Had my last post last night for them. So
Sweet.
I average about a Jerry's post every 2 weeks at this point. So
Awesome.
I've sent a second person their way. So I've had 2 people that have, well, you've gone to Jerry's because of me
Yeah,
talking about it,
I
right?
have.
So you're a third person.
Yeah.
But Brian was down in Florida at Disney World, and on his way down, he drove through Maryland and then stopped at a Jerry's, and he said he loved it. So
Awesome.
he'd never eaten there before, and he wants to find a reason to come back.
Yeah.
So
I like
because he's
their
in Massachusetts and they don't have it up there. So
I like their fries.
yeah, yep. The potato wedges.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Because they do have regular fries, but I'm like, why would anybody ever order those?
I know. I am still a little disappointed that Quiznos left. Like they just, I don't think
Like
they're
left La Plata? Or?
No, they're just not around the area on the East Coast anymore. So they were good.
I never ate there.
Yeah.
I'm probably the reason they left.
If you would have,
They might have sponsored me.
they
No.
would have. They were good, big subs. They were like the Bill Cosby hoagies, No, I'm not trying to make a nasty joke. I was just saying, because on the show,
Okay, got it. I was like, the hoagie puts you to sleep?
Well,
Let's laugh about
somewhere, yeah.
rape. Or not.
Anyway, so I want to talk about growth
Okay.
today. I can't
I've
remember.
got this thing on my back. Could you look at it?
Yeah, sure. After
Since we're a video cast now,
Yeah.
you all can check out my growth.
you went to Brit Style last week to get back waxing, right?
No.
Brazilian wax.
I was talking about the growth that I have coming out from my shoulder.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's the growth you were
No.
referring to.
Did you send me this article or did I?
You sent it to me.
Okay. It was just a little bit more intellectual than what I do, so I thought, it was something you sent.
It wasn't a listicle.
Yeah. Because that's all my brain can handle. Just
Top
simple
20
lists. Yeah. But the article is called Growth Mindset and how to make your kids have grit. And I want to talk about more than just the kids aspect.
Yeah.
But
No, let's just focus on our kids.
Okay,
Let's not
that's it.
actually ensure that this affects us at
yeah, because kids are more important than everything. So just pour all your money, energy into kids.
all. We're already lost causes at this
We
point.
are.
So our chance for redemption is to live through our children
Yes.
and have them have the lifestyle we failed to have. So
Yep.
I liked this article, though. The idea behind a growth mindset is opposed to a fixed mindset. And
Yeah.
so the growth mindset, and there was an author that wrote a book about it called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And that really made this idea take off. But the growth mindset is focused around, I can change who I am. Fixed mindset is, I'm not a smart person. I'm not strong. I'm not, fast.
Yeah.
I am who I am.
I'll never be outspoken.
We
so-
have maybe 20, 25 years to decide who we're going to be for the rest of our life. And then the rest of it is just downhill from those formative years. People
Right.
talk about the formative years. The growth mindset says, no, you could never stop learning. You could continue to increase your intelligence. If you're not a smart person when you take your SATs, that doesn't mean that at 40 or 50, you couldn't start reading classical literature and increase your intelligence and stuff like that. So that's the idea behind the growth mindset.
Awesome. Yeah, because fixed mindset. Who wrote this article? I should probably
Eric
at that.
Barker. Is
Eric
his name.
Barker. Okay, Bob Barker's son.
The blog that he has is called Barking Up the Wrong Tree.
Oh, okay. I did see a stupid movie on Netflix. I just thought of this with the daycare. It was like Barkley is now the new forest ranger. Bark Ranger. I was like, what?
That sounds like a Joey Gladstone
Yes.
joke from Full House.
But it was a real movie. on Netflix.
Kids movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barkley.
Well,
Bark Ranger.
Charlie,
anyway.
you need to quit watching the kids channel on Netflix when your kids aren't around.
Well, my profile...
You are allowed to go watch the adult stuff.
Well, Janie said that I can only... You know how it's kids or regular... Mm-hmm. She put the kids on me, on the kids profile.
And she changed the password so that you can't go over to the adult one.
So now I'm just watching...
There's a lot of cooking shows on the kids network. That's what my kids get away with.
Well, okay.
Anyways.
So, growth. I don't know why I talked about Barkley or Bark Ranger.
Because the guy's name is Eric Barker.
Oh, Barker. Okay, yes. Fixed mindset, he says, is genetics, and I'm just where I am forever. Mm-hmm. Where I am now, that's where I'm going to be forever. Mm-hmm. But the growth mentality is I can improve my abilities through effort, and you can be the best in your world. Mm-hmm. I added that part, but yeah, which I need to remind myself of the growth aspect, because I always get too hard on myself, and I'm just like, well, this didn't work out. I'm just going to stay here forever. You know, I'm not going to get better at whatever.
So this article talked about how to encourage a growth mindset in your kids, and that was part of the interesting aspect of it, because a lot of the things that we instinctively say to our kids or reward them for is actually encouraging the fixed mindset. Or like, you're such a smart girl is actually contradictory, or not contradictory. It's not helpful.
It doesn't
to encourage them to become smarter.
Right.
You are such a smart person is basically saying this is who you are.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to change that.
Right.
And so I better continue to do things that make me look smart. And if I do something that fails, they're not going to tell me I'm smart.
Right.
And so I'm going to avoid things that I fail at.
Yeah.
It's like, dang it, I've already screwed this up.
Yes.
It's time to focus on the grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fixed mindset right there, by the way.
Yeah.
To say this generation is done. Let's focus on the next one.
You've already messed
I've
all
already
it
screwed
up.
this one up.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that. I go, yeah, you're so smart. And at football practice for Caleb, I'm like, man, you're pretty fast, Caleb. Like, he just, I don't know. And if there's one time where he gets his flag taken, I guess he'll think he's not fast or something. So, yeah.
So I think I started learning this when I started reading articles about women when I started dating and stuff. And
women's health.
It's this idea of you're not supposed to tell a woman that that dress makes you look beautiful or something like that. Well, you know, when they're dressed nicely or something, you're not supposed to say, "Oh, you look beautiful." You're supposed to say something along the lines of, "Wow, you make that dress look really good."
Or something it's the focus is on the woman.
Is on them, not what they're wearing or their makeup or something like that. I'm just like, I can't. My brain doesn't think that way. My brain doesn't think like, good try running fast. I just immediately say, wow, good job. You're fast.
Right.
Good job.
Yeah, but
so
see, with the women thing, it's like, isn't that the reason why they put on those kind of clothes and makeup? Because they want to be complimented. They want
but it's like that. It's that TV joke where it's like, oh, wow, you look great tonight. And they're like, well, what do I look like every other night?
Yeah. Like a horse's butt.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for putting some effort into it today. So,
yeah.
So that's the way that it is now, is like when a kid comes home with a good test and you're like, wow, you're really smart. They're going to hide the tests that don't show that they're already smart.
Right.
Or an example in my own experience is if someone gets complimented all the time that they're really good at something, they stop doing the things that they're not really good at, and they don't want to. Right. Or if they are only used to ever performing in public, they don't want to do anything in public until they actually have it mastered. So it's that perfectionist ideal of, unless I can do it perfect the first time, I don't want to do it at all.
So it basically just makes a person stop taking any kind of risks. Because they're not going to challenge themselves. Yeah,
because if I'm a good pianist and I pick up a guitar, a good pianist piano playerist, and I pick up a guitar, I'm not going to be good at the guitar. But if people are used to seeing me up on stage leading worship on a Sunday morning or something, playing piano, and I stand up there playing guitar and it's not the best, it's not received the best or the best experience or whatever, then I might as well just never try a different instrument and only stick to the one that I'm good at.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, I'm so beyond this, I would never do this. But we've talked about before how I've drifted towards strength training because that's what what I have capacity. Yeah. I want to say, cause that's what I'm good at. But that's a very fixed mindset, but that's where I've made the best gains and the best progress and stayed away from things like I would say, oh, well, I'm never going to do a muscle up. So I shouldn't even try.
Right. That's
not for me. Running 50 miles, that's not my thing. So it could be if I wanted it to. I don't want it to. That's my growth mindset is I want to grow in something that I care about.
Yeah.
But I could be a marathoner if I wanted to, I guess. So,
but you don't want to.
I don't want to. So.
I did read your blog post today.
Oh yeah, about this?
Yeah, about because the second thing he says is don't ignore the outcome, tie it to the effort. But you agreed, but you disagreed at some point. You were saying you should look at the outcome sometimes.
Yes,
because that's how you know if you're getting better.
Yeah. And that's what he says in number 2. So his first point is reward effort, not outcomes. Or don't praise ability or intelligence was the first point. But it gets down to the bottom of praise hard work, not just good grades.
Yeah.
And so the second point, don't ignore the outcome, tie it to the effort, means don't ignore them when they come home with good grades. But say, see what happened, you worked hard and you increased your grade.
Yeah.
And that's what's important here. And that's kind of what I was saying is I don't want to turn powerlifting into a sport where we don't have gold medals and silver medals and bronze medals and we all start getting participation trophies. So we need to keep the outcome there, but for us personally, don't make the outcome all that matters.
Yeah.
So like if I didn't do as well at this meet as I wanted to, my own perspective as it's shifted is I want to be a certain place by 40. I don't necessarily need to be at that place right now at day 1. So if I don't get there this meet, I've got another meet to get there and I've got another one after that. And I've got, 20 something competitions I've scheduled over the next 7 years. So
yeah, I got an example of that. Like, Ronda Rousey, she, I don't know what it was, like maybe 6 months ago. She got her butt beat, but it wasn't just, it'd be nice to win, but she lost, but she still had her fans.
Not a lot of them.
No, well, those were
most of them.
Those were the bandwagon fans.
Yeah,
but she won as far as like she just got back up and started doing it again, and just not letting that deter her. So, in a sense, she won in other areas, not the competition, not the fight.
Yeah, I would hope that's the case. I obviously don't sport, but I saw the fall of Ronda Rousey where it was like everybody was all for her. Then she lost that one fight and it was like everybody turned on her. And like, her career's over. Like, because she lost one fight.
Right.
But I don't pay attention to it. But I guess that's the way it is in boxing and MMA is if you don't have a perfect record,
then you're scum.
Then you're on to the next person. But that's a very fixed mindset of, you lost one fight and you could never get better. I mean, we would not have 7 Rocky movies if that was the case.
And that's Sylvester Stallone's like, next one it'll be better.
but every single one of those movies is he got beat in the first fight, trained and became better and won the second one.
Yeah.
And I think that's much more the reality of sports. If my game is off today, I don't retire. I don't quit. I get back into the gym and I start working towards the next one. So
to bring a Street Fighter reference in there, one of my friends was like, because I was complaining I kept losing all the time. And he said, well, don't focus so much on just winning every match or game. Because if you're losing, you're learning. Try to think of it in that aspect. And if you're winning, you won. But if you lose, think of it as a learning.
You don't win anything. You don't learn anything from winning.
Right. Because you won. You're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I've arrived and nothing needs to be changed.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel the same way in powerlifting. I've done 3 competitions now, and I'm ready to be at the point where I have real competition going against me, because I'm in a weight class that's generally pretty... It's either stacked against me, so these people would mutilate me because they're much stronger than I am, or none of them sign up for the meet that I'm in. So my past 2 meets, I got a medal. The first one because I was the only one in my weight class there, and this last one because there were only 2 of us in the weight class there. But it's like, okay, this has been fine, but I don't want to get a trophy just for being there of a certain weight. I want to actually like compete against somebody and either beat them or lose and learn something from it that way.
Yeah.
If I show up at the competition that I helped out at 2 weeks ago, at this point, I would have been, they had 300 or 400 or 500 pounds more than me on their total than I had. And I could learn something from that. I did from watching it, but it would have been different competing against them. But yeah, I think you can learn a lot from failure. And that's actually the 3rd point on here.
Respond positively to failure.
Yeah. I think this is, I don't remember who I heard it first from, but it's this idea nowadays also of, if your kid comes home with a straight B report card, you're going to be more excited about them than you would be about the kid who came home with a bunch of C's and F's and 1 or 2 A's.
Yeah.
And it's this idea of, I want you to be good at everything.
Yeah.
Instead of find something that you're really, really good at and focus on that. And focus on getting better at that.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need to fail. To get really, really good at something, you have to fail. If you want to be good at everything, you probably won't fail all that much.
No.
But if you want to be good at one thing and continue to pursue that, you're going to fail all the time there. And it's hard with kids to say, great job losing today, without it turning into that. But at least you tried, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other day, it was interesting because, we were playing soccer inside the house upstairs, and I knew something was going to break, and it did. One of the glass things on the wall broke, and then I wasn't even mad, but I noticed, Chloe wanted to help clean it up. So I was like, okay, something broke, but the overall thing was that you wanted to help clean it up.
Yeah.
That's the important part, your attitude about it was good.
Yep.
So
I kind of got the impression reading this article, though, that this could be the reason that people complain about our generation, because our parents kind of did reward attendance and reward effort over success.
Right.
So it is kind of that idea of the success, the participation trophy and everything like that. And it's okay that you guys lost. At least you tried your hardest. So I think I don't know what the difference is, but somehow you have to do all of that stuff, but don't let it create entitlement.
Okay.
Somehow it needs to create a growth mindset instead. So the entitlement side of it would be, now I'm going to expect everyone to award my effort.
Yeah.
And when they don't, I'm going to whine and complain about it and pout.
Yeah.
I did my hardest. You should...
Yeah.
That should be good enough for you. Yeah, but you didn't finish the job by the deadline that we had.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that, now with employees, they just expect a raise every year just for being a part of that company or whatever and not doing anything other than just their job, Is that kind of where you're going? Or
yeah, that is the side of it is it's not based on the results. I don't know, because I like the idea of focusing on the process, because the process means that I'm going to continue working on my squat, for example, and it's going to eventually get better. Whereas the results are, I have to absolutely hit a 450-pound squat today, and that's all that matters. So I like the focus on the process, and I wrote about this in my blog post today, but at the same time, you have to have the outcomes there to continue to push you on your process. Because let's say that we rewarded a 14-year-old soccer player the same way that we reward a 4-year-old soccer player. Yeah, you stood out in the field the entire time staring at your feet, but at least you got out there and played.
Right.
You didn't score any goals, you didn't stop any goals, and you actually kind of assisted the other team in getting a goal. But hey, good effort.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect that.
Yeah.
We can't expect the same level from somebody if they've been doing it for, if they're really focusing on their process and developing a good process, it should result in better outcomes.
Yeah.
Nobody gets a reward for approaching retirement and having tried to save enough money for retirement.
Yeah. Well, I tried. I just didn't have enough money.
I was putting $25 in every pay period
for 50 years.
For the past 50 years. I don't know why I only have $200,000.
Right.
I was like, well, what did you put it in? Cash. I put it in my mutual fund in cash.
Yeah. But with the 4-year-old though, now I'm going deeper into it. A 4-year-old's mindset is different from a 14-year-old. So you have to use whatever their capacity for understanding is. So if you can bribe them with an ice cream after the game to get them to go to the game, that's what you need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get better if they don't go play soccer or whatever. So
if the 14-year-old then comes back to you and said, well, I played, can we go get ice cream now?
Yeah.
Be like, no, you played because you committed to being on the soccer team this year.
Right.
That's why you're showing up to the games.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely think that's the case, that you have to use a different approach for different where people are at. I guess I would just say, but I think it's easy for us to set goals for growths in outcome. We need to also set goals for growths in processes.
Yeah.
If we're going to have this growth mindset, process-focused approach to it. I said on my blog post today, if I was still, after 3 years, only squatting 250, but it was the absolute best-looking squat in the entire world, then it doesn't matter. It's time to put some weight on the bar and start squatting heavier. Because you can have really great processes that never push you towards other outcomes, kind of like the saving $25 every month.
Right.
But never increasing it to 50 or never focusing on balance or allocation or anything to actually reach goals.
Yeah.
So, hey, that brings us to our fourth point, which says, don't just say try hard, help kids set goals. And that's exactly what we were talking about. I think they used the idea in here of baseball. Maybe not. Maybe that was just in my head. But say, don't just focus on, I want to have a process. Actually focus on refining and improving aspects of that process.
Okay.
So I want to get better at soccer. Well, that's a great goal.
Yeah.
And if, I'm going to say, good job trying harder to get better at soccer. But let's actually focus on, how do you need to get better at soccer? Do you need to be faster? Do you need to anticipate better? Do you need to, work on dribbling and stealing and stuff like that? Let's work on one of these things for the next couple months and see how that improves the process.
Yeah, there's definitely, for adults in whatever art or creative thing they're doing or work or whatever, there's definitely the unsexy process of the thing. Because I look at, people I look up to on YouTube, they got it all figured out. But I'm sure, there's the unsexy process of what they got to do to make it look good.
Yeah, they have those YouTube videos that they shot the first time, and they didn't want to put those up either, right?
Like right now, This Is Us.
So it says here, this is from the author of the book, it says, just seeing a growth mindset as focusing on effort and merely exhorting kids to try hard. Since when was that ever effective? It's more like nagging than instruction. So exhorting kids to work hard is not a growth mindset. So you can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to have a growth mindset, so I'm going to stop focusing on outcomes and just say, try your hardest.
Yeah.
It actually, I mean, it is the nagging thing of like the parent on the sidelines who's saying, run faster, run faster.
Like, what is that? I don't know what that means.
I'm running faster. I'm not running in the right direction. But you need to help them set goals and not just say work harder. I'm failing in math, so my answer is, well, work harder. Well, that doesn't help me. Like,
that's so vague.
We didn't figure out why I'm failing, what aspects I need to work harder at. Maybe I'm failing because I'm still working harder at last year's math and I'm not progressing into this year's math.
Yeah.
So that's the growth mindset. It's kind of like the idea of figuring out what you don't like in your life and fixing that, and then moving on to the next thing and fixing that, and always assessing what could be better. So
there's never a point. Well, this is what I realized, like, nothing's going to be easy breezy in life. Like, there's always going to be something I have to do to maintain health, finances, whatever,
Always going to be work to do.
Yeah. I actually listened to Dave Ramsey's show the other day. I hadn't listened in a while, but he said something about, somebody was calling about a job and they wanted to leave because it was so frustrating, but they made good money. And he was like, oh, that's it. He was kind of clowning on, like, oh, that's it. That's the only thing that's frustrating you about that. Do this, work on this. There's any job that has no frustration is not worth having.
That's true.
And I was like, that kind of hit me because I was like, man, I want like
You've
a perfect
less
job.
Frustration.
Yeah, I don't want any frustration. I don't want any problem. I want the Garden of Eden, But yeah, it got me thinking.
So I've thought about that. So to get speaking of the Garden of Eden, thinking about like heaven, and it's like not supposed to be any pain or tears or anything like that. I'm like, so does that mean when we get to heaven, everybody can squat 800 pounds and it'd be no issue for them? And I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks. Like, would I enjoy squatting if there was no pain involved in it? And I'd be like, at the time, that would sound perfect.
Yeah.
But there would be no reward that comes from that frustration working through something to make it better.
Right.
So, yeah, the most boring jobs that I've had in my life are the ones that are coasting.
Autopilot,
where it's just so easy.
Yeah.
Nothing's expected of me. I show up, I do something, and I leave. The best times I've had with my employers was when I was given a challenge, or I took a challenge upon me to solve a problem and came up, had to think hard about it, which means frustration, which means sweat, which means pain.
Yeah.
And
a little bit of stress is good.
Yeah. Stress builds muscles. That's why I don't just squat 100 pounds every single time that I go in there.
Yeah.
I want to apply a little bit of stress so that my muscles develop and say, okay, this is now what we need to learn how to expect. So we're going to grow to this occasion.
Yeah. On those days when I was sitting behind the office desk and it was coasting, on the way home driving, I'd be so tired too. It's so weird. Like, I just didn't use my brain.
Yeah.
And
so you were lazy, and that laziness just like affected everything else.
Yeah.
And it was like, I have no ambition whatsoever right now.
It's like, oh, I'm home now. I don't know how I got home, and I don't know what I did today.
Yeah. So like Dan Pink talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose, saying that it's not frustration that makes people hate their job. It's the inability to deal with the things that frustrate them. So autonomy, especially. It's like you had bosses that sucked and expected stuff from you that you weren't able. They did not allow you to
help
produce
control,
or to fix.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a situation you put me in. You're mad at me, and I can't do anything to get out of it.
That would be the worst thing, because we would have a new contract and a new project, and I'd already be thinking of, okay, I'm not allowed to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this way, when I could be doing it this way, and it would save everybody time or whatever. So yeah.
It would kind of be, to take it back to the gym, like I want to do everything. It would kind of be like somebody saying, okay, here, 800 pounds is loaded on the bar, squat it.
Yeah.
And I get under it, and I'm going to fail. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But then being like, well, that was 800 pounds was it. So
you lose.
You lose. That's the fixed mindset. You can't do it. So there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
The growth mindset is, hey, I can't squat it yet, but someday,
Yeah.
I have to get to 5 first, and I will. And I'll get to 6, and I will. And then I have to get to 7, and I will. So,
yeah, that was frustrating when I worked at the construction job, because they would, the owner, one of the owners would be like, you didn't do this for that. You didn't do this. I thought you would have told him about this and this price and blah, blah, blah. You're not there yet. Like, he would always tell me, you're not there yet. When you're here, then I know you're there. Mm-hmm. But the thing is every time I would get there, he would move the line. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, I'm never going to get there. Because in your mind, you want me to do everything exactly how you would do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, that's not possible. Mm-hmm. I don't think like you.
Bummer.
So, yeah.
Then the last one that it's got on here is to encourage this growth mindset in your kids is talk about how you use it in your own life.
Okay, yeah.
So kind of how I talked about last week, how I talk to my kids about how much things cost. Share with them, when my kids say, Daddy, you're so strong, don't just say thank you.
Yeah.
But say, well, I didn't start out that way, and I worked hard to get here, and these are the goals that I have to get even stronger than I am today. Maybe not every time they try to, give me a compliment.
It does feel good though, right?
Daddy, you're so strong. Come sit down. We need to talk.
Come get hugged by this tree trunk of an arm.
We need to talk about how you are encouraging a fixed mindset in me, and I'm really trying to encourage a growth mindset in me and in you.
I just want to watch The Little Princess or whatever.
It's like, Dad, just go get a shower, then we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
So we need to talk to them about how we've set goals. We weren't always debt-free. Stuff like that. Share your history with your kids. Let them know that Mommy and Daddy weren't always rich, but that we had to do things to get there, kind of thing. So,
yeah, that's good. I'll have to implement that in, because I don't think I do that. Like, share growth with efforts with them.
I think we're quick to talk about frustrations and stuff like that, like things that are making us angry. But we don't really talk through like what we're going to do to improve that situation.
Yeah.
And we keep all that stuff in our head and just let the anger side blow up.
Yeah.
And see that side.
That's what I don't want my kids to do. Like, oh, Dad's going to be angry again. Like, I don't like that.
Cool.
All right. It's nerd talk.
Nerd talk.
All right. Mobile gaming.
Yep. So I came up with this idea kind of out as an extension out of last week's topic about Pokemon Go. But I wanted to talk about mobile games in general. So not just
phone.
No, talk about phone games, about how it's changed gaming. Not just it's not alternate. What's it called? Something reality. That
augmented.
Augmented.
Yeah.
That's the word. I knew it wasn't virtual and it wasn't alternate. Augmented reality games. But how the phone itself has changed gaming over the past 10 years. So
yeah.
I thought that would be an interesting topic to talk about, because we've been gaming for 25 plus, probably.
Me, 30 years.
Yeah, I would say 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say my parents had an Atari that I probably was playing at like 4 or 5 years old. So.
Okay.
So yeah, 30 years been gaming.
I mean, when I think of mobile gaming, the pioneer of that, I think, would be Nintendo, because they started the Game Boy.
Oh, wow, you're going even further back than I was.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, they started that trail, and that's good nostalgia memories for me. So, I mean, it just...
And then the Game Gear.
Game Gear, yeah, it was
in
Sega's.
color. Yeah. You could play it at night.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, this is awesome.
So some of the things that I think cell phones have changed is... One of the biggest ones for me is that cell phone games have made everybody a gamer. And I realized this when my parents were playing Angry Birds even before I ever downloaded and played
yeah.
Angry Birds.
Wow.
And I was like, you're telling me my parents, who always told me video games would rot my brain,
Yeah.
are now sitting in the back seat of the car while I drive playing Angry Birds.
Yeah.
I hear
my
dad's playing Angry Birds
Yeah.
back there, and I hear it flying through the air. The little
That's awesome.
And that was the first eye-opener to me that mobile gaming has done something that console gaming and computer gaming was never able to do. In that we all have a computer in our pocket now, and everybody can find a game that they like, whether it's free cell in your pocket, or whether it's Angry Birds, or whether it's a first-person shooter, or a car game, or something like that.
Yeah, my kids have a ton of them on their Kindle. And it's just like, oh, here's a haircut salon. They just give people haircuts on the game. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I've been playing one for the past week. It's from Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion. They had a Kickstarter for a show called Con Man that was on Vimeo. And it's all about Alan Tudyk is this actor who was once in a sci-fi show. They're both from Firefly.
Oh, okay.
And was once in a sci-fi show called Spectrum. And now his entire life is basically just going to all these gaming conventions, and people want him to talk about the old days of being on this show. And Nathan Fillion plays another. He was the captain of the ship in Spectrum, and he's been the only star from that show to go on and continue to do other movies.
Do other things. Man, that's gotta...
So it's a pretty funny show. I really enjoyed it. Glad I sponsored it. But they just came out with a game called Con Man, and you're running a gaming or a Comic Con kind of thing. You build the hall, you set up the vendors, you put food, and the game is basically emptying trash cans and the toilets overflowed and you need to send these...
So it's like Diner Dash?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's for comic conventions. And you can have different aspects, different areas. You can have like the sci-fi area and the horror area and the gaming area and stuff like that. And all it is collecting money from all the vendors and buying new stuff and expanding your con. And then eventually, like, to make it give you some little bit of interesting thing about it, aliens invade your convention and you have super fans that are basically just cosplayers that fight the aliens for you.
Wow.
But it's really fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's no better than Diner Dash.
Yeah.
Making burgers and throwing them out to people. So
yeah, everybody plays on their phone. Everybody takes longer number twos because they want to play on their phones. But yeah, that's interesting because my kids hardly play the Xbox. Like, to hold something and press like a button instead of a touchscreen. Yeah.
So I've got a few consoles that have been packed up and I never play them.
Yeah.
Same thing. If I play something, it's on my phone. Sometimes I'll play a computer game, but very rarely. More often than not, I'm on my computer researching aspects of the game that I'm playing on my phone. So,
well, yeah, I'm on my computer, not even playing the game. I'm watching somebody else play the game, and that's entertainment to me.
And we've been there before. We've talked about that one.
I've watched so many Let's Plays of like old NES games. I'm just like, this is therapeutic to me for some reason.
So I think another aspect that mobile gaming did is it changed the way that you play games, because with a console game you log into the console, you load your save spot, and you have to play for 20 or 30 or 40 minutes to find another save point. At least in the RPGs that I like to play and stuff. With mobile gaming, one of the aspects of it is short games. Even if it's like a free cell game, or I've been playing Sudoku on my phone a lot, I can log in and I can play for 5 to 10 minutes and then close my phone and go do something else.
It's like filler for when you're like waiting for something. Or
instead of popping open my Kindle and reading a chapter in a book, even I play a game, or other games like Clash of Clans style, or the kind of games that continue to play while you're logged out. And you log in, collect all your resources, then close it and let it go again.
So do you think mobile gaming like has added to our like ADD society?
I think that it's played into it.
Yeah.
It fits it.
Yeah.
So there are longer games you can play on your phone, but I think that the ones that take off and the ones that are popular tend to be the ones that, since everybody's got a phone in their pocket and not everybody has 3 hours that they can sit down and play a game, we're going to give them a game that they can play for 3 minutes every hour for the next 3 hours. So I think that fits us a little bit.
Yeah, there's a Street Fighter game that I downloaded. It's basically Candy Crush, but at the top of the screen there's your character, and every time you make a
clear something, they do a punch.
Yeah, they punch.
I saw one of those for Marvel. It's always advertised, and that's another aspect of mobile gaming is freemium. Yeah. So most games are going to be free with in-app purchases or an upgraded version ad-free or something like that.
And, I mean, I just like the idea that you do your thing, and then you can just exit, and then you pick it back up, and it has all your stuff again. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing I think mobile gaming did was it got rid of complicated keystrokes that are necessary for other games. So, like, I'm thinking to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on the PlayStation, where you would jump up in the air and you have to, like, push 9 different buttons or something. Did we lose it?
We just lost the video part, but that's okay.
Okay.
The audio is fine.
Dead battery. You'd jump up in the air and you'd have to hit like 8 different keys in a certain order or something like that. And really you just end up mashing everything.
Right.
I downloaded an emulator for Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES on my phone. And I'm trying to play that. And just the part of Super Mario 3 where you would jump and hold down the speed button while you're running at the same time was so hard to do on my phone. Because I've only got 2 thumbs and I'm holding this thing, and it used to be so easy on an NES controller because I could just hold down on B and then the joint of my thumb could hit the A button when I needed to jump. But on my phone, that's like not possible to do because I don't have that tactile thing that's raised. And so that was just interesting to me. For Angry Birds, I mean, Angry Birds is one finger that you swipe and then let it go and it flies and you tap.
Depending on whatever bird you're playing or whatever.
RPG games that I've played on here, there's like one tap does things. It's not like 8 touch points on your screen that you have to all tap at the same time. So they've really simplified, kind of going way back to the NES where it was a control direction pad and 2 buttons kind of thing. This is almost Atari style where you've got a joystick and a button. Single button.
Yeah, it feels weird, that directional pad on an iPhone, because I'm like, I know I'm going this way, but I just can't feel it. Like, you know.
I saw on Amazon they actually have
the iPhone thing you put on there.
They've got gamepad adapters that you mount your screen above it and you can actually play with a gamepad. And it's Bluetooth, and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
I'll remind that for Christmas time for you.
So.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something else for mobile gaming. What else they've done? I mean, I think they make a lot of money. I mean, if they're successful. For free, for the free game, you know. And then they make their money off the in-game purchases.
Yeah. So it's got a lower barrier to entry for gamers to get in, or for game companies to get in.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to get it into the market, harder for them to attract long-term players, I think. So with the I guess with the console model too, you only had 2 or 3 consoles that you could sell it in. You only have two game stores that you can sell a game in now. With computer games, you had to convince them up front to drop $60 on a game.
Yeah.
And then once you got that $60 from them, there was no real incentive other than expansion packs to continue to serve them.
Yeah.
Now, to get somebody onto your game, it's free.
It's free.
You can measure when people are actually playing it. You couldn't do that with computer games, really.
Right.
You couldn't see what people were doing in the game or anything like that.
There's a lot of analytics now in the mobile gaming.
And then they also ship games that are not complete yet and update them.
Yeah.
So But then also with that, with the updates, they also provide many more expansions to it. So when I was playing Clash of Clans, they would release like a new expansion almost every other month.
Yeah.
With here are new units and new things you can do and new ways to get people to come back and play it. So that was another aspect of it.
Blizzard has done very well with Hearthstone, playing on the PC or on your phone. And even on your phone, using the data, you play for an hour and it only uses like, I don't know, 2 megabytes.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty good.
Yeah, they're not data hogs. That's nice.
Battery hogs, yeah.
Battery hogs. Yep, they are. There's one other aspect I was thinking of. Maybe I already covered it. I'm trying to think what it was. Talked about the freemium.
Sometimes I do get annoyed by some of the games where it's like pay to win. Like there's no way it's free game, but there's like no way you can like win if you don't pay money. And I get annoyed by that. Hearthstone is a little bit like that because you don't get any of the new cards if you don't buy their expansions.
Yeah,
and those are the best decks with the expansions.
Would you rather have a pay-to-win game or a ad-supported game?
Ads annoy me, though.
Yeah.
Like a little box on the game or whatever.
So a game where not pay-to-win, like you had to put $5 into it every single day, but if you could get away with being pretty competitive in the game by spending $15 and never have to see a single ad, would that be worth it to you?
It is.
So that's the other interesting thing on it is boxed games were never really ad-driven.
No.
They sometimes might come, packaged with other stuff.
Yeah.
Freeware that was given out with them. But it wasn't like you had to watch this 30-second ad in between every cutscene. Could you imagine if Final Fantasy was like that?
Oh my
it's like,
gosh.
You've just seen Sephiroth kill Aerith, and now 30 seconds of
a sponsor for
Chocobo Racing.
That's the thing, though. Back in the day for the NES and all that, it was like when they made a game, it was done. Like it was no expansion, no.
Mostly, it would be done. Hopefully,
yeah. Well,
there would still be glitches.
Yeah, but that's what made the game.
You'd find those glitches, and you'd
like
you'd milk them for all that they were worth.
Yeah. Well, there in Legend of Zelda 2 for the Nintendo, there was you go in a town and there's a guy and his dialogue box says "I am error," and then that's stuck. There's no, you don't change it, and then now it's like 30 years later, it's still there. Sounds like a good title for this episode.
I am error.
Yeah.
In brackets. I miss though that immersive feeling that I could get from consoles and from games. So yeah, I can take it out and I can play it for 5 minutes. And there are some games where, even though I only have to check in for 5 minutes, I still want to have it open and do stuff with it. But there's none of that sit down, get so involved
attached,
in the story. Like when I would play through Final Fantasy VII and get out of what's the town that they started in? Midgar. I would do the escape from Midgar on disc 1 in the PlayStation, like race myself to see how fast I could get through that. But it would take like 3 or 4 hours of solid gameplay and stuff to get through that.
Yeah.
I don't see that as much on the phone. I'll play for 3 or 4 hours, like with Sudoku, but I've done like 500 puzzles or something like that.
But the feeling of like accomplishment, I guess. Yeah, might not be there.
I'm not wrapped up in the stories on mobile games as much. Like, who really cares about the pigs stealing the birds' eggs and going and chasing them? It's just a shtick to get to the next level and to get new equipment and stuff like that. So, but I play it. Yeah. And they're addictive. Yeah. And it's with me everywhere, so that's, I guess, the benefit. I don't have to hurry home so I can get on my console and play. So.
Which is why I'm getting a Nintendo 3DS. I can have the best of both worlds.
Oh,
yeah. Get the story and the handheld portion. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Mobile gaming, it's fun. It's free if you want it to be free, if you're not tempted. I think that guy who made Flappy Bird, he made like $50,000 a day.
Jeez.
And people knew you couldn't beat that game
and they still wanted to try.
Yes, that was the appeal. Yeah. Like, I'm going to prove it wrong. Yeah. Okay.
The downside of mobile gaming, the last downside is it's a lot harder to hide from your boss when you're at your desk.
Yeah, you're like...
than a browser-based game was. Not as... I mean, it's easier to get to than it would be installing something on a company computer, which I've done. I've figured out ways to do it.
Oh, yeah, I've done it,
But browser-based games were so nice because you could just Alt-Tab to an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah. Oh.
So, if I'm holding my phone for any reason, my bosses used to look at me and be
texting,
like, oh, he's texting somebody, or he's on Facebook when he shouldn't be. So there's the benefit of browser-based games, which we could talk about in another episode.
Yeah, there you go.
Flash-based, macromedia, browser-based games.
I mean, somebody made all the Nintendo games in the Flash. So...
Oh man, I went back and played Lemmings at one point. You remember Lemmings?
Yep.
I went back and played that on my browser when I was working 4 or 5 years ago. I got lost in that for a summer. That was fun.
That's awesome.
Nice little flashback.
Because that was a slow time, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was tax season.
Oh. But you still got your quota
hours.
done.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had no quota, just 40 hours.
Oh, okay. I do miss that. Getting paid the same no matter how much I produce.
Whether you actually do anything or not.
Yeah.
I showed up for 40 hours.
I breathed. Thank you. Direct deposit.
Here's your participation trophy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I miss it, but the growth mindset. That's from last week. No, this week.
Yep. The business you have today is not the business you'll have 6 years from now.
Yeah, it'll be much worse. No.
If you want it to be.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Cool.
Wrap this one up. Where can folks find you?
I'm on Instagram at CP_EH, CPA, and I blog at barrettyoung.com.
Awesome. Yeah, you've been doing good on your blogs.
Holding on to this, so.
Daily.
Yep.
And you can find me on Twitter at Charchangs. Our website's HadokenDebt.com, and if you want to support the show, we're on patreon.com/HadokenDebt.
See you next week.
See ya.